Welcome to the first post-election Bill and Gipsy show. We may not know who our next president is as of today, but we do know who our guest is over here, Senior Angel.
Yes. At the Bill and Gipsy show, we help you turn your wedding dreams of sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows
Into amazing, and I mean amazing experiences that are going to bring delight to you and your guests. And your clients will say, wow, you were the perfect couple and this was the perfect wedding experience.
Definitely, and I'll tell you, one part of weddings is flowers. The art of flowers. It's the piece there for the decor that just kind of closes everything in. And we have today at Villa Woodbine, Angel Rodriguez with Rodri Studios, who's going to tell us all about the art of flowers. Welcome to the show, Angel.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Gypsy, for having me today. And the audience is like looking at us today.
Yeah. Welcome, and look at those beautiful flowers up there.
Thank you.
I think I told you before, Angel, that my dad actually was a rose grower and up in Western New York. So I come from a floral heritage, but he wanted me to go to Cornell to study agriculture.
Wow.
I helped him achieve half of his dream. I went to Cornell, but I didn't study agriculture. I studied hotel administration. So that's a little bit about my background, but tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into flowers.
It's interesting. Just recently I celebrated my 15-year anniversary. And a lot of people think, oh my God, you're so young. But I really started 15 years ago. When I was 17, I decided to do arrangements for Mother's Day. And you know, it's sort of like they sold very well. And from that moment on, like everyone just wanted to like do, you know, some sort of like flowers with me or lobbies or in the hotel industry. And it wasn't until like a year after that I did my first wedding. It was a fiasco, I have to say. And the year after...
Join the club. My first wedding, I clogged up their garbage disposal at their house. So
oh, wow.
Broke it.
So, you know, fast forward a year after that, you know, I did my best friend's wedding at a venue. And that particular venue, you know, they love the flowers so much. And by the way, I already have some sort of experience and the technique, some sort of improved. And they decided for me to be the creative director for that particular company. So that's when my career actually took off. And from that moment on, it's just sort of like, you know, we've been doing a lot of not only floral design, but also styling and production. And here I am 15 years later. Yeah, and by the way, you know, I wanted to become an attorney. So simultaneously, I was going to, I was doing my master's, well, my undergrad first, then, you know, applied for law school, did 6 months in law school at FIU, and then my master's. So yeah, but I guess the creative side sort of took over.
Oh, I know. We all have masters in somewhere else, and then we're all in this industry and all. Yeah. But flowers, they are the focal point of an art when it comes to every wedding and event. I mean, that's where your decor comes to life and all. So we have like centerpieces, and I noticed like this centerpiece, I know they're all different sizes and what have you. This is beautiful and grand. But I noticed with the roses, you have the different tones. You're more soft pink. This looks like one like an antique and whatever. So how do you go about and choosing the colors?
For this particular one, we chose the blush tones, the pinks, and that transition going into a little bit into the mauve tones. And then we add a little bit of the white and ivory just to soften, you know, the color palette. I always believe in creating a color story, and most of the time couples, they do come already with a color in mind, but they're not 100% sure what they want. And sometimes we just suggest colors based on the season and the availability of the flowers that are available during that season.
So then let me just, with that, this is a large centerpiece, obviously. Will this go on the tables, or is this something like for the other areas, or it can be also used as for a table?
That is actually a good question. These would probably be on a table. We tend to choose a vase that is probably like, you know, 45 tall vase, just so that, you know, if they're sitting across the table, you still can create some sort of conversation. So we tend to do higher centerpieces. If it's gonna be something low, we tend to do lower than probably like 8 inches, so that it creates sort of like a cozy environment, but it doesn't, you know, interrupt the view to whoever's sitting across from the table. So yes.
All right. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I remember from my old days when I wrote my book on catering, the rule of thumb was the centerpiece should never be more than 14 inches high. That was like the because that would allow people the ability to look across the
Absolutely,
table.
yeah.
So we're in the fall season now. It's November, December's coming up, and then we've got the spring. So talk to us a little bit about colors for the various times of year and what flowers work best, because I think a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. So for the majority of the time, most of the brides tend to be very neutral in color tones. However, sometimes we try to create our own color stories while still reflecting the essence of what the client wants. For the most part, during January through March, we tend to create colors that are more subtle in the whites, ivories, grays. Once spring comes in from March all the way to probably like April or May, we tend to bring a little pop of color, maybe with some buttercream yellows, maybe some burnt oranges, you know, and as we gradually get into the summertime, we tend to add a little bit more color, you know, so we get to enjoy a little bit more of the darker yellows or darker oranges, and as we go into the fall, then we tend to use the jewel tones, what we call the emerald tones, the navy colors, the marsala tone, which is very popular right now, which is almost like the burgundy tones, and the purple tones. Now, couples tend to stay away from those, you know, strong colors. Sometimes what I just suggest is that if they want to use a little bit of the purple tones, we maybe tone it down again with some of the ivory, the white tones, just so that it creates a better transition and, you know, more pleasant to look, you know, to the eye, especially when they're afraid of color. Okay.
Right. So with everything that's going on in our world right now, and I know a lot of the weddings have actually from 150 guest count have come down to 50 or 75 and what have you. Have you seen, when it comes to their vision and floral design and all, has that affected them? Of course, now we're going to have less centerpieces and all, but are they deciding then to go much smaller or still have the same grandness and everything? I mean, what do you see?
So we do have seen a few brides for 2021 to decide to do weddings at a smaller scale, but the fact that they're doing it at a smaller scale doesn't mean that they are not focusing more on the details. You know, they're still having less guest count, which is allowing for more money to allocate towards the decor aspect of it. Because sometimes when you have like maybe a 200 people wedding, yes, it's a very big wedding, but then you have to be very careful how you play with budget when it comes to like the catering, you know, the venue, and then florals. So, you know, I've definitely seen a trend of like, you know, having less guests, but still focusing on more details, you know, especially on when it comes to flowers. You know, they have more room to play with, you know, the budget as far as flowers.
And one thing I didn't, you know, meant to ask you, and I didn't put it in our little questionnaire, y'all, was that when it comes to advising a bride in budget, that's something that Bill and I always, you know, with what we deal with when we meet with our brides is, how do you advise them with a budget on flowers and what is realistic and what's not realistic?
You know, this question it's very interesting because I always also advise, even before advising on budget, to have a wedding planner. Because a wedding planner is an essential component to be able to have, you know, because I might not know the entire budget of the wedding. I just know, you know, more or less based on guest count and what they want, the idea of what that budget falls into. But a wedding planner is gonna have like that bigger aspect of realistically what they're gonna do. So that's the first thing I always tell them.
That's cool. And to all you wedding planners out there that are watching this, remember this fellow right here, Angel, he's your biggest fan, as Gipsy and I are too. So to kind of wrap this up, I want to first of all thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming all the way over here and even for rescheduling our visit because yours truly messed up his schedule as usual. But it's good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I feel honored. The people on this that are watching will be able to see your contact information, but it's Angel Rodriguez from Rodri Florals.
Rodri Studios, yes.
Studios.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And then y'all tune in next week for another show.
Yep. Be sure to like us. If you have any questions, send them on in. We're, as Ross Perot used to say, we're all ears. For you millennials that don't know who Ross Perot is, he ran for president in 1992.
I was a baby.
And lost.
So tune in next time, y'all, and thank you so much, Angel,
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you for having me. I feel
And
honored.
thank you all for viewing, and tune in for next week for another fabulous show.
Yep.